Hey, welcome into Fox Weather at Night. This is a Fox Weather Alert. We've got an update on our tropical depression that's down in the eastern Gulf. It's not a huge update, but it has strengthened a little bit since 5 o'clock. So we've got the 8 o'clock update in now. The pressure's down a couple of millibars, right? Okay, so sea level pressure, normal pressure, is around 1,013. Okay, so at the last update at 5 p.m., this was 1,011, which is a little bit lower, and now it's at, now it's at 1,008. So the thing to take away from this is that there is a gradual strengthening trend, and we've been talking about this based on what we've seen on the visible satellite imagery over the last couple of hours, and it still has yet to be seen whether all this convection that's popped up is going to be sustained, okay? But there is a strengthening trend here for sure. Earlier on, like during this time period here when the storm looked like this was between like 1 and 5 o'clock or so, the hurricane hunters were flying through the storm, and they found basically what they were describing as a broad circulation. In fact, I was just looking at the tweet here. Let me look this up. Our friend Noah Berggren, the meteorologist down at Fox 35 in Orlando, he retweeted, I believe, one of the people that was on the flight. Yeah, he said, this is from Jeremy DeHart, who is a meteorologist, and he flies the hurricane hunters. He said, today's mission did not find a closed circulation. It's very broad. Convection still sparse near the center. Strongest winds only at about 30 knots, which were 50 miles away. Okay, so he was saying, let's focus in on a couple parts of this. Circulation is very broad, and the convection is still sparse near the center. Convection meaning thunderstorms. So that was earlier. That was during this time frame here. Watch what's developed over the last couple of hours here, like right around this vicinity. This was after the hurricane hunters were already out of it. See what I'm seeing right there? I feel like this circulation looks a little bit more closed. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Chris. I mean, I kind of think that's what we're looking at. Sometimes what I like to do is rock it back and forth a little bit. See, kind of like this. And you can clearly see, like what you're looking for here as a meteorologist. I'm trying to look at the lower level clouds to see if like a surface circulation is built or not. So it's tough to do sometimes, but you have to ignore all of these, you know, either tops of thunderstorms or just high level clouds. And so we're going to ignore all those, and we're going to be looking at like these clouds down here and like these clouds on the outside. And this is the tricky part because you can't always see what's down below the high clouds. We need to see what's going on down at the surface. But I think I can make out enough here. We can really zoom in because it's the high-res satellite. I mean, look at the direction here. We got, you know, northwesterly winds on the north side of it. We got the air coming in from the southeast on the southeast side of it. And for a brief time before this thunderstorm starts to pop up, you can, if you really look down there, you can see what appears to be, at least to me, some kind of closed circulation that's trying to form, and we start to see convection forming close to that center. So I'm going to put the center of it based on this like somewhere in here. And so you're seeing all these thunderstorms that have been going up now. Are they going to be sustained? Well, that'll be the question. So I don't want to step on the gas too hard here. I'm not saying like for sure this is a sign that we're going to have a tropical storm at the next update or something like that. I still think it's going to take some time. There's a lot of dry air still coming into the northwest side of the storm. And actually, just kind of looking over the last like half an hour to 45 minutes, see these storms here, Chris, that were going up, which kind of looks like the south side of the circulation, they kind of fizzle out. So maybe not being sustained quite as much as it looked like might be the case initially. And these also fizzled out a little bit too. So we certainly don't have like a closed circulation with intense convection consistent around it, I would say. So that's where we're at right now. That's a little bit of the currents. You look at the water vapor imagery, though, this is also pretty interesting because for most of the day, let me go back. I'm going to go back about 12 hours here. Okay, so most of the day, and remember, the water vapor imagery is showing us the moisture content in the air in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So here's the dry slot here. Remember, like the center of the storm is here, and you can clearly see the dry air starting to sneak in. Watch what happens over the last, I don't know, couple of hours here. The dry air is getting pushed farther toward the west, and so we may be able to moisten up this air. I mean, all this is expected, right? It's just kind of cool to see it in real time when you're looking at the satellite imagery. You know, we knew that this is likely to strengthen. It's likely to become Tropical Storm Bertha. The question is, at what point does it become that? And then What does it do after it becomes Tropical Storm Bertha? Well, let's look at some of the spaghetti models. This is always fun. So this is the Google AI tropical tracks here. So basically runs out a forecast model a bunch of different times with some slightly different conditions here and there. And you can notice that there's actually a pretty good amount of agreement that it stays pretty close to the coast. A couple of the members here taking it farther toward the south. This would be a higher chance at a stronger storm, which I think could end up being more of an issue for Texas down the road, like a little bit later on in the week. Okay, but right now, let's focus in on what we have higher confidence about, what could happen up here along parts of the Florida coast, maybe into parts of coastal Alabama and Mississippi. Well, right now, the Hurricane Center has a storm surge forecast up to 3 feet. Remember, this thing is going to strengthen. Let's say the center of it ends up here somewhere. Big counterclockwise spin. If that wind starts to pick up a little bit, that's going to throw some water into some of the bays. Now, look, 3 feet of storm surge, this is going to be nothing compared to the big hurricanes that you guys have dealt with, especially in this part of the country, the Big Bend, where we've had some absolute monster storms kicking up some crazy storm surge in there. But that's an impact. We've got a tropical storm watch that's in effect between Pensacola and Apalachicola. So it's basically the Florida Panhandle, right along the coast. They don't go inland because, again, it looks like the center of the storm is probably, at least with relation to the Florida Panhandle, going to be off the coast. Now, what does it do after that? Well, the cone is pretty wide. And speaking of the cone, let's talk about it. It's a very wide cone. First thing I notice about the cone, it's wide. And that means a low amount of certainty as far as what's going to happen. From this point on, there's a lot of question mark in the forecast. Okay? Now, the idea is the farther south it goes, and the cone is telling us the area of uncertainty where the center of the storm could go. It's not showing the area that's going to be affected. If it takes the more southerly path, stronger storm. Now, you kind of couple that. Let's say you have a stronger storm down here, but it's also farther away from a place like New Orleans. Maybe the storm surge impacts become a little bit worse. It doesn't look like there's going to be a crazy amount of rain on the north side of it as far as like Mobile, New Orleans goes, because remember that dry air we were looking at coming into the north side of it? Let me just run you through a forecast model here. This is the Fox weather model, and it really shows that. I mean, it's not like there's not going to be any rain, but you notice that the majority of the rain, especially as the system is moving toward the west through like Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday, is out over the Gulf. And that has to do with that dry air intrusion on the north side of the storm. Again, it's not like there's not going to be any rain here. I mean, we could see some flash flooding, but I think the flash flood threat is going to start to go up as the storm progresses farther and farther toward the west. So let's go through one scenario here. I was showing you the Fox weather model, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the model that we're looking at here too. Let's see what we have here. Actually, I really want to be sure of which forecast model we're looking at, so I'm going to do something that's probably not been done very often here. I'm going to open up it won't show up like that on screen, so we're good. I just have to check here. I want to see exactly which forecast model we're looking at. I should have checked this before we came back. No, this is the graph model. Okay, so I wanted to just double check. It's not the Fox weather model, it's just a different model, but this is giving us an idea of what like a potential scenario could look like if we get a tropical storm that stays just off the coast. All right, so wind gusts, 20 to 30 miles per hour, but it's strengthening through Monday. I think a pretty good chance that, by the second half of Monday, we have a tropical storm here, and it's not moving very fast. The thing is, a slow-moving storm does actually increase the storm surge impacts, even if the wind itself is not ridiculously strong. Being this far from the center, 20 to 30 mile per hour winds, up the Big Bend into parts of the Panhandle, that could be an issue, closer to some of the high tides especially. But yeah, this is one model that has the center of it staying off the coast. And I got to tell you, Chris, that's a pretty strong-looking storm right there on the graph model. That's getting close to hurricane territory. So this is a very tough one to, what's the word for it? Communicate. I want to make sure to communicate this well because it's very important to me to not overhype something. Like a lot of people think differently. They're just like, okay, I'm going to go with the ceiling event. We're just going to hype the heck out of this, and then people will really make sure to stay safe. But then you lose the trust of people. So, it's a tough thing to do. I think this is a very plausible scenario. I think we need to start talking about the idea that the entire Texas coast is included within the cone. And so, again, let's say it takes this southern track. The water's really warm all over here, all over the Gulf. There is, you know, some more wind shear as it gets farther toward the west. Some models are breaking it apart, but I've seen a couple of these high-res hurricane models, which aren't always perfect, and I'm not going to show any here right now, but over the last couple of hours, I've been seeing people posting these on social media of kind of a beastly-looking storm down here, like probably a low-end hurricane or something like that, that could be approaching the coast of Texas. Now, is it also possible that this thing just moves inland and kind of fizzles out and we just end up with a bunch of rain that gets kicked up out there by Friday? Yes. The other thing we got to look toward is, and this is pretty far out in the forecast, but you remember how much rain we just recently had out in Hill Country, and shout out to Chris for mentioning this to me during break. But like, you know, Saturday into Sunday, where does all the moisture go? Does it move into that area and we end up with a renewed flood threat out there? So that's a very early heads up on that. That's all the way till Saturday. But let me take a peek at the radar here just to see what it looks like right now. So I'm going to be using the high-resolution radar that's in Tampa Bay. It's about 130 miles away from where the center of this storm could be. This also gives us a good idea of how healthy the convection is. And I got to tell you, Chris, like, I know on satellite it really looked like there was something kind of tight in there, and there still might be, but at least based on the radar data, it still looks a touch on the broad side to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'd probably have little clusters of low-level spin as well. You know, you're going to get a little bit underneath each storm cluster. So it definitely hasn't consolidated yet.
Yeah. Okay. Good call. Good call.